The UK is a huge market for seafood from abroad. We import hundreds of thousands of tonnes every year, spending billions to satisfy our appetite for species like tuna, cod and prawns. Staggeringly, around 80% of the seafood we eat comes from outside the UK. However, the fish we're consuming carries a hidden cost. Overfishing and illegal, unreported and unregulated, or IUU fishing, is widespread across the ocean. Illegal practices, such as fishing in prohibited areas, beyond agreed limits, and using destructive methods, are devastating fish populations and destroying important ocean ecosystems. Horrifying numbers of dolphins, sharks and turtles, many of which are protected species, are caught and killed by industrial fishing vessels every year. Illegal fishing is also closely associated with severe human rights abuses. Human trafficking, appalling working conditions, forced labour, slavery and even murder have all been widely documented and continue to plague many fisheries.
Itu ketika kita kerja normal, 17 jam. Kalau ada serangan banyak ikan, kita bisa 26 jam.
Waktu itu saya merasa hidup di dalam penjara, gak bisa kemana-mana.
Đi tới đây nhung nai chế mà bọn nó chế bị rồi thu mà ba mà nè được gì đâu cho nó xí mà lụt tới ta rồi bị gì cũng.
Import controls play a crucial role in the fight against IUU fishing. However, insufficient import checks at our border in recent years mean it is highly likely that fish tainted with illegality and human rights abuses is finding its way into the UK supply chain, into British supermarkets and restaurants, and eventually onto our plates. The UK currently screens seafood imports through a catch certificate scheme. This means all imports must be accompanied by a document detailing information about vessel licensing, when and where the fish was caught, confirmation that the fish was caught legally, and more. However, since the UK's departure from the European Union, checks on this critical documentation, our strongest protection against illegally caught fish entering the UK, have dropped to alarmingly low levels. In 2023, despite the UK importing over 440,000 tonnes of fish, records from UK authorities show that it made only 3 verifications of catch certificates, and just 2 consignments were refused for non-compliance with IUU fishing import controls. In 2024, the picture was much the same. The UK imports significant amounts of high-risk seafood, like tuna and squid, and fish caught by vessels from high-risk countries, like China and Russia. If authorities are unable to undertake robust checks at the border on high-risk consignments, it is a near certainty that illegally caught fish and fish caught using forced labour is being bought by unknowing consumers. The UK government now has an opportunity to make tangible and lasting change for the benefit of the public, law-abiding fishers, vulnerable workers, and our ocean. Adopting the transparency and traceability measures outlined in the 10 points of the Global Charter for Fisheries Transparency will help to end the abuse of fishers and protect precious marine ecosystems, while positioning the UK as a leader in the fight against illegal fishing. Specifically, the UK needs to urgently tighten the gaps in its import control system to prevent illegally caught fish from entering the UK supply chain. Since Brexit, the UK has stopped monitoring and recording detailed reports on the IUU import controls it is enforcing. This is leaving authorities blind to what is happening at the border and increasing the UK's vulnerability to IUU imports. The UK must urgently reinstate its capacity to report in this way. Our catch certificate scheme is a great way of supporting seafood transparency and traceability, but it needs to be properly enforced. The UK should make use of the tools at its disposal, investing resources to substantially increase the number of verifications and, where necessary, refusals of seafood consignments. Replacing the current paper-based certificate scheme with a digital one would reduce the risk of accepting fraudulent catch certificates and streamline the verification process. Modernising the scheme also provides an opportunity to acquire additional data from exporting states on labour-specific risk indicators to prevent seafood tainted by human rights abuses reaching UK consumers' plates. These transparency and traceability measures aren't the only way the UK can rid IUU products from its markets. The EU and others monitor global trends in illegal fishing and raise concerns with supply countries that are failing to control problematic vessels. Continued poor performance can lead to market or port access being closed. This has acted as a strong incentive to drive positive reforms across the world, such as in Taiwan, Ghana, and Thailand. As a major importer from several high-risk fishing fleets, the UK should leverage its significant market power and operate a carding system. Such a system should allow the UK to issue yellow cards as warnings to countries failing to tackle illegal fishing, and, in extreme cases, issue red cards to block their seafood exports from the UK market. The UK's seafood import controls are being weakly enforced and underutilised, to the detriment of fishers, consumers, and the health of our ocean. However, the UK government now has a golden opportunity to change this by delivering these low-cost transparency reforms. Doing so will position the UK as a global leader in the fight against illegal seafood, supporting thriving fisheries and a sustainable ocean.